Welcome. Today I'm going to be going over my updated Hailey build. Now, this build is mainly a mobbing build, however, you can absolutely bring it into bossing and be fine. So I'm going to immediately go into with our modules, and then we're going to go over our weapon choices, Reactor, external components, and arcade tuning, and then our inversion. So starting with our modules. Here it is. I'm going to temporarily take that off, and then this is basically the build. I'll get into the ancestor module in a minute. So, basically, what we're using on this build is we're going to be using Cold Heart, and we're going to be going fully as hard as we can into lowering our cooldown, upping our crit hit damage, our crit hit rate, and our chill skill power. This is because the newest Descendant module for her, Cold Heart, basically changes her into a mashed version between, like, Viessa and Bunny, and you end up with this really, really cool and fun version of Hailey to play. You do lose her sniper identity by quite a bit, however, there is still one of her abilities that are using a sniper, and we'll go into that later on when I'm talking through the abilities. But this is the build. Now, I didn't mention about an ancestor module, and I'm going to be equipping one very, very shortly to show you that you don't need one, but it's nice to have. However, instead of an ancestor module, you can put something on maybe for like more HP. If you can get more range, that is also great. Pretty much anything that can give you pretty much any type of buff that you actually want. I wouldn't be surprised if you go with HP, as Hailey's survivability in this build isn't too great, and her survivability in general isn't that great. We do kind of amend that a little bit when we go into our arcade tuning, but I will go over that in a second. So, anyway, as I said, this is the build. We're using Power Beyond over here. We've got Cold Heart, obviously, and our lovely little grappling hook. And basically everything else we're running is so we can get skill crits, skill chill power, or chill skill power, and lowering our cooldown. And if you want to run an ancestor module, this is the one that I have, and this is the one that I've been using. It just boosts my skill power and skill cost by a little bit, what is great. However, if you can get something that is maybe like cooldown and then crit hit rate or crit hit damage, that is also exactly what you're looking for. I'm unlucky enough that I haven't really got a really, really good one yet, despite having two of them that I've rerolled 7 times. But, you know, that's just the luck of the draw. But if you want to use an ancestor module, you're basically looking for anything that is going to give you good flat buffs, and obviously trying to avoid the negatives. But this is the build right here, as you can see. And I'm going to leave this on screen for just another couple of seconds while I talk over the abilities. So basically what Cold Heart does is it pretty much adapts everything in Hailey's build. Her passive is still the exact same, however, you're never really going to be at 25 meters plus with this build, and if you are, I mean, having the extra stuff is nice, but it's never, like, necessary. But basically, it changes her 1 into kind of like an AoE tracking dart, that when it hits an enemy, it does a little bit of an AoE, I believe. And this shows a lot and a lot of times. I believe it's 12 times. And these shots are doing a shit ton of damage against pretty much every single enemy. Why would you not want that? I mean, as you can see there, the damage range is 8 meters, so it's basically a mini 8 meter big explosion. And you get 12 of them, and because we're lowering our cooldown, this is going to be on cooldown basically every second. It takes about, like, over half of a second to activate and then finish anyway. So by the time you're done using it, you're going to have another one off of cooldown, what is absolutely bliss. It changes her secondary ability a little bit, not too much, as her sniper rifle. You can still use this for bossing, however, I'm going to get into later with the weaponry choices, as you might as well just not, and then just continue to run something like Frostwatcher, but I'll get into that later. Next is Cold Heart. You basically just want to have this activated 24/7. This is going to buff your movement speed and buff, as you can see, pretty much everything in your build. This is how you're going to be getting, like, so many more crit hits and crit damage, rather. You basically have no negatives to having this activated. And then your 4th is basically a mini explosion. Think like a bunny thrill bomb. And this is on about a 4, maybe 5 second cooldown once you activate it. And it, like, detonates. So it's good is what I'm getting at here. That's what I'm getting at. And so basically what you're trying to do is you go into a gunfight, and before you get into it, you're activating your 3, so you get your buffs. And then you're just spamming your 1 and your 4. Literally the exact same type of play style as you do on a character like Bunny. You just activate your 3, and then your 1 and your 4 goes crazy. So now we have covered all of her actual build itself, I'm going to go over the weaponry, to which we're going to be using a Hypernova. We're mainly using this for the sprint speed, because when you have a sword equipped and you activate your third ability, as you come over here, I mean, our skill crit rate is going to fly up, but our movement speed is going to go up high, and our sprint speed. So now with this fully activated, we're going to be absolutely zooming. Almost like a pre-buff bunny in a way. Like, you just run very, very quickly. And the Hypernova is just a good sword to use anyway. There's no wrong using in the Hypernova. But that's kind of what you want to use. You can use something like Shadow if you want as well, just for the extra sprint speed. But again, it's not absolutely necessary. I just like to use Hypernova because I actually have stuff on it. Or at least progress into the getting it 4 out of 4. Next, I like to have a Malevolent as mainly just as a gun, just so if I'm ever in a situation where I actually need to shoot my gun, the Malevolent is like my old trusty. This gun goes with me everywhere. And then for your third weapon, you can kind of use whatever you desire. I have it 8 times equipped right now, but I actually would rather have my Frostwatcher because Hailey gets such a big benefit from Frostwatcher anyway. It's just I haven't built mine yet. So Frostwatcher is great. You want to have a sword of some kind so you can run around quickly, and then a gun weapon, yeah, that's class, a bullet weapon, so you can actually shoot if needed. And then again, the Frostwatcher just synergizes with Hailey really well. You don't even have to have this thing built at all. Like, I've got like basically nothing on mine, and it still hits like a truck on Hailey. So as long as you have it, you're all golden. Next, our Reactor. This is going to be an absolutely no surprise to anybody, but we're going to try and get a chill singular, and then I've got skill effect range and skill crit hit damage. However, if you can get maybe a crit hit rate or better cooldown or anything like that, that is also great. I just got lucky enough that I managed to get range and crit hit damage on a character that is based upon range and crit hit damage. And then your component set, you have 2 choices here. Well, I say 2, you have multiple. You can kind of obviously just use whatever you want, but if you want an absolute min-max, it's worth getting a full set Slayer. If you don't already have this, it is kind of just like the best set in the game. If not, no, I don't have any of these, but a full set of Polar Knight is also really, really great for any like Frost hero, Descendant. Sorry, been playing a mix of games recently. My brain's a bit foggy. Polar Knight is a great set. Slayer is, I mean, it's my go-to. You can just use it on fucking everything and everyone. So that's kind of what your eyes are being out for. And then if you can try and get as well, like HP, MP, and then defense, and then your last one doesn't really matter. But that's what I have on mine for the actual things, and the core is obviously max HP and defense. Next, we're going to go over to our arcade tuning. So on our arcade tuning, we are going to head immediately up here to get Chill Cohesion. Now, the other chill one, I can't remember what it's called, is also pretty good. That one is also very, very fun to use. However, I just prefer Chill Cohesion because I find it's been more consistent, personally. And then you're going to use your other points to head over here, and we're going to grab Defense Neutralization. This is just going to help us quite a lot with our survivability, as the weakest thing about Hailey is by far her health. But you can kind of flex around here where you bring stuff. I would just recommend trying to get the skill cooldown and at least Chill Cohesion. But you can kind of like maybe mess with these points over here, maybe try and go into weapon attack if you prefer to use guns. But this is the route that I've taken, and I think it's probably the best route for Hailey's playstyle, especially with this build. And then lastly, one of the last things I want to go over is her Inversion, to which, as you can see, I've got basically nothing on, but I would just recommend trying to get Neural Focus augmentation. This thing is brilliant. It is just very, very class. I'm going to grab Blade Extension, or why shouldn't I? But you basically just want to have this just so you can get more MP. Now, MP isn't a worry with this character here. I'll proc my 3, and then you can just watch the bar. It's basically never really going to go down, and even when you're activating other skills, it's never really going to go down too much. And even when the time that it does, I mean, look, it's just not moving, really. You're getting MP back all the time as well from doing stuff. You're going to be getting cubes off of the ground with MP. You're just always going to be stocked, essentially. MP is just not a worry at all with this build. But this is like one of my favourite builds in the game right now. I mean, as you can see, it does absolutely insanely solid damage. You run just as quick as Bunny. it's kind of nice to have Hailey be actually kind of strong for once, instead of being in that weird limbo that she's been in for quite a while, where she's just kind of not, but then like everybody wants to play her because she's a cool character. I mean, that was kind of where I was at with her. But now it's like I can play her, and I'm going to have a lot of fun playing her. But as you can see, this is basically just what you do on her. You kind of play her like a bunny slash VSer, and you're golden. Her sniper rifle, here I'll restock my stuff. Her sniper rifle as well, even just with the sword on, does an absolute shit ton of damage. I'll lower the amount of enemies so you can actually see how much damage, because I didn't decide to use my brain at all while recording this. So, as you can see here, it's going to do 24 million, what is not the best, but also not the worst. But considering you're basically just doing that while you're spamming out, especially if this is single target damage, if you're spamming out your 1 and your 4 at the same time, and then whenever that comes off cooldown, you're just shooting it off, you're going to be absolutely rinsing through basically everything on your screen. This build for Hailey is literally nuts. Obviously, shooting stuff as well is going to apply a debuff. With your 1 and your 4, and I don't know if you saw that, but there was 2 numbers that came on my old screen. Let's see how much this does. Again, just 26, but still, it's a very, 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 very solid build. And considering Hailey is actually fun to play now, I'm definitely going to be putting more and more hours into her, especially as I want to go ahead and get like Harris unlocked and stuff. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave you with some gameplay and a bossing section probably at the end of this. I'm not too sure about the bossing section because this isn't a bossing build, but there's definitely going to be mobbing gameplay. So, yes, thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.
Selecting objective. Objective confirmed. Setting objective. Objective confirmed. Setting objective. Need to recharge my shield. Not bad, but it's not great either. Objective confirmed. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Selecting objective. Objective confirmed. Selecting objective. Target confirmed. Ready. Objective confirmed. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Objective confirmed. Setting objective. Selecting objective. It's up to me. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Objective confirmed. Setting objective. Objective confirmed. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Objective confirmed. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Selecting objective. Objective confirmed. Setting objective. Objective confirmed. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Selecting objective. Setting objective. I need to get through this. Selecting objective. Setting objective. Setting objective. Objective confirmed. Stand by. Selecting objective.